memory was my 6th birthday party. I invited 10 girls and 2 boys. And then first grade began, and the veil between the sexes came down, and all of a sudden, girls were the other. I felt profoundly sad. If my 6-year-old brain had adult words, it would have grieved for the loss of friends and for the loss of a part of myself. In grade school, I was too clumsy and kind to be macho, and so I paid the price in bruises. I created a hard shell to defend myself. But at the same time, I found myself drawn to trying on my mom's clothes. Looking back, it was the lost feminine part of myself trying to have a voice. I occasionally, with great shame, continued trying on women's clothes when no one else was around, until in my mid-20s I began to examine many parts of my life. I decided if I was going to continue dressing this way, that I was going to look at the feelings underneath. Being male, I was seen and I saw myself as a machine, as a producer. I wanted to say to the world, I am a work of art. Value my flow and my feelings. I am a rainbow, a fairy, an angel. I want to be sought after and not always the seeker. And I examined the outside world, and I saw how women were allowed gender exploration, but males were not. I remember walking into a department store in the women's section looking like a veritable bird of paradise, and the men's section like a coal mine. I realized I could shop in the women's section, buy interesting clothes, and still pass as a man. So I began to dress like this. Taking off clothes is never quite as elegant as you think it's going to be. At age 32, I had a dream where there were 2 cliffs, one pink and one blue, about 6 feet apart, but with a chasm between them as deep as the Grand Canyon. And I took my hands in one cliff and my feet in the other, and I pulled them together with the force of my body. I continued to dress androgynously, but longed for a freer expression of my feminine side. In 1992, after years of inspiring Halloween drag experiences, I broke out of the box and cross-dressed for the entire month of October. And I had an epiphany. I was not a cross-dresser or a transsexual. My goal was not to pass as a woman, but simply to be the unique combination of masculine and feminine that was me. There was no word for me at the time, and it is hard to be something that doesn't have a name. But I decided to pick certain safe places in my life where I could dress like this. Despite the joy and appreciation, and sometimes distance and even a little outright hatred, but it did not stop me until in 2002, I began a very public work role, and I moved to an intentional community where my dressing was criticized. And not just because it was feminine, but because I wasn't an earth mama or urban chic. In truth, I have the aesthetic and maybe the soul of a 12-year-old girl who's watched too many Disney movies. And now I've really learned to appreciate that about myself. But at the time, I let this criticism drive me back into the closet for almost 10 years. Recently, I heard the term gender fluid, and it was the first label that really fit me. I considered coming out again, all the way this time. When I looked at the decision in terms of what I would wear, I went back and forth between my fears and my freedom. But when I looked at my identity, it was simple. Society sees 2 genders, and this time I refused to choose a team. So I declared to the world, I am gender fluid. So now, sometimes I dress like this, and sometimes I dress like this, and sometimes I dress like this. And I love it. I am evolving, I am growing. This is me.